Hello and welcome once again to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club in Leeds, where today I'm going to be taking a look at a brand new utility iron, the X-Forge UT from Callaway Golf. So before we get into hitting these new irons, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to see loads more content from all of us here at Golfshake to help you play more and play better. So utility irons, now they're not for everybody, they're not designed for every golfer, but they certainly help certain types of player when you've got long distances obviously to hit the ball, whether it be off the tee or a second shot on a par 4 or par 5. And maybe you're a player who doesn't like to hit a hybrid club, and certainly I would fall into that category. But let's talk a little bit about the technology of this before we actually get to hitting it here on the TrackMan. So, like I've said, it's that type of club that you could use off the tee, maybe a longer second shot out there on the golf course, and slightly different to just using a long iron. So it's hollow construction, which is going to help with forgiveness, but also it looks great sat behind the ball too. So for your better player who wants the look of an iron, and particularly a sleek looking iron, this is really going to tick a lot of boxes for that player. But like I've said, with the hollow construction, that allows Callaway to basically use some of the technologies they've used in iron ranges in the past couple of years. So urethane microspheres is one that they use to really help with the feel of the iron. The fact that it's made of 1025 forged carbon steel will obviously add to that premium element, and also the softness of the actual feel when we're hitting golf shots. There's tungsten in the head there as well to really help optimize the center of gravity position for launch and ball flight. So these won't launch and fly maybe as high as a hybrid would, and we certainly want, and the type of player who's going to use this will certainly want a slightly flatter, more penetrating type of ball flight. So these aren't designed like a hybrid, but still have got plenty of forgiveness. So like I said, the hollow construction, the AI technology, artificial intelligence that Callaway has used over the past couple of years in many of its products has been used in this new X-Forge UT as well. So really making sure that off-centre hits as well as ones out the middle of the face get as much ball speed and forgiveness as we possibly can as well. So the shaft, it's Project X U shaft that has been put in here, specifically designed for like your driving iron or utility club, really to help with the feel of, when you're actually swinging the club, but also help get this kind of flight window that we're looking for in this type of golf club too. So that's all the tech side of things there. Aesthetically, now when we sit it behind the ball, you can see it looks great. In the playing position, the top line's not really big and chunky. It sits behind the ball nicely. It's quite a longer blade length than I've seen on some clubs in this kind of category before. I think the back of the golf club looks quite cool with the kind of Callaway badging on there, with the two screw fittings on there too. I think all in all the club looks great, and it's certainly something that suits my eye when I sit it behind the ball. Now we are going to hit some both inside here in the Performance Centre, get some numbers on the TrackMan, but I'm also going to take it out onto the golf course as well, because this is a type of club that I would have in my bag most of the time anyway. So that kind of longer iron I much prefer over using a hybrid type of golf club. So I'm really excited to test this. I'll hit some here on the TrackMan, and then we'll get it outside and have a bit of a look. Having been out on the course and played a few holes with it now, we're just on the 16th now at Howley Hall. Not only have I realised I hit driver and 3-wood far too much out on the golf course, and I probably should use a club like this a bit more, but I've also found how many more fairways I hit with it. I've had a few mixed results. Some of the swings haven't been fantastic, but I've hit most of the fairways that I've aimed at. I must admit the shaft feels a little bit soft for me when I've been hitting it on the tee. I've had a few that have kind of gone a little bit left, which I normally wouldn't get generally with a longer club like this. But I think, you know, had I just got a slightly stiffer shaft in it, I think it would be great. And the shaft certainly feels nice and smooth when you swing with it. It's just a little bit whippy, I think, for my swing speed. But the flight I'm getting is really good. When I've hit a few out the middle, it's not as low as you'd think. The flight is actually, I mean, it's no higher than I would hit a long iron, but it's actually carrying quite a long way, so I'm guessing the spin is going to be fairly nicely controlled, and certainly when we get hitting it in the room, I'm guessing that's what we're going to see. But yeah, from trying it out on the golf course, I could definitely recommend. It's definitely easier to hit fairways with than pulling a driver or 3-wood out the bag. So let's go try it in the performance centre and see if we're getting the same results. So, having played some holes with it out on the golf course, and also, obviously, as you've seen, hit some shots here on the track, man, I really liked it. I'm one of these people, I always like the look of irons rather than a hybrid, and I'd certainly rather hit a long iron than a hybrid club. And when I was out on the golf course and hitting the shots out there, I really liked the ball flight. It felt very much like a 3-iron would in my set. It didn't feel like a big hollow chunky head or anything like that. It actually looked quite nice behind the ball. The ball flight I was getting was good too. And what I would say is when we look at the distances here that we're getting on the track, man, we can see that the ball speed's pretty good. We're getting 220 carry, 239 total. So this is a 2-iron loft golf club, so I'd expect this to be a good 20 yards, maybe a little bit more longer than my 4-iron, and it is, at 240, that's kind of where I would expect a 2-iron to go. 220 carry, my 4-iron is probably carrying just over 205, 206, and probably goes about 215 total, and that's fine, but I want a golf club that's going to then give me a little bit extra when I need it. Certainly as an option off the tee, this kind of fits the bill quite nicely. Whether I would get a 3 or a 2, so the 21 degree instead of an 18, I'm not sure. I'd have to maybe do a little bit of testing. We've also got a 24 as well to replace the kind of 4-iron loft that you get in your set. So if you're that type of player who might need a little bit more help at that end of the bag, and potentially the apex iron that Callaway do might look a bit too bladed and a bit too small for you, then this X-Forge UT could help you out in that area as well. But yeah, I mean, we're looking on there, the ball flights are pretty consistent. You can see where their landing's very consistent. I've just hit that one that's absolutely gone miles, which has carried like 233 and gone 250, but I've just nailed it. The others are kind of around the 235 to 240 mark, and pretty consistent ball flight, and a little bit lower than I would normally get with a 4-iron. So the actual peak height is what I mean is a bit lower than what I'd normally get, because most of your clubs are going to peak at pretty much the same height. But so with this in the 2-iron loft, it's just a bit more penetrating. The spin rate's a bit lower, so it's going to run when it hits the ground. But certainly loved testing it, loved hitting it in here, and it kind of backed up what I'd seen out on the golf course. I hit a couple out there that went quite a long way as well, and then a few that were around that sort of 235 mark. And bearing in mind it's quite wet out there at the moment, we're not getting a lot of run on it. So there's a couple I hit downwind that were pitching about 230-ish, which is pretty much what we're seeing here. On some of the holes that I played where there wasn't much sort of help with the wind, I would say around the 225 to 230 mark is what I was seeing out there. And like I say, bearing in mind we're getting no run on the ball out there at the moment because it's soaking wet, I'd say that's perfect. That's exactly where I want to be hitting a club like this. So there we have it. Tried it out on the golf course and here on the track, man, to try and back up that data as well. And yeah, really enjoyed having a few hits with the X-Forge UT. If you like the video, please hit that like button below. If you've got any questions, please submit them below as well. I'll try and answer them all as best as I can, and I'll see you all very, very soon.